Hi everyone, alongside Mike Trossel, I'm Dave Giancola. Thanks for joining us again to celebrate an incredible decade of U.S. Opens. This time, it's the Women's Opens of the 1990s, which saw the emergence of the game's newest star and the championship that perhaps changed the trajectory of the women's game more than any other.
Yeah, Dave, and Annika Sorenstam made the 1995 U.S. Women's Open her first professional victory in the United States, and she backed it up with another win the following year at Pine Needles.
And then we were on to 1998 when Korea's Se-Ri Pak won in a 20-hole playoff at Black Wolf Run. It was the first Women's Open victory for a player from Korea and was a moment that inspired a generation of players who have become some of the best in the world.
Yeah, they have. And Dave, Mama finally brought home the trophy. Julie Inkster, who won 3 U.S. Women's Amateur titles, won her long-awaited Women's Open title in 1999. Here we go, U.S. Women's Opens of the 1990s.
So the leaderboard after 3 rounds had Sheehan leading by 5 shots over King. And because of weather delays, 2 rounds were played on Sunday, so it was right back out to the course. As King came to the 11th tee, she and Patty were tied at 4 under par. Betsy then made the birdie putt and took a 1-shot lead at 5 under par. Meanwhile, back on the 9th hole, Sheehan needed this putt for par. The bogey dropped her to -3 and 2 shots behind King. Betsy would falter a bit at the 12th. She would make a bogey and drop to 4 under and a 1-shot lead. But Sheehan didn't take advantage and bogeyed the 12th hole also. And again, she trailed by 2 shots. But as Patty came to the 14th hole, she began to catch fire. This birdie putt would put her only 1 behind. And then another birdie putt at 15, and suddenly King and Sheehan were tied. Betsy putted out at 18 and waited for Patty to finish. At the par 3 17th, an errant tee shot would again be Sheehan's demise. Her bunker shot was well past the hole, and she would make a bogey to fall 1 behind. As she came to 18, she needed a birdie to tie. Her 3rd shot on the par 5 was safely on, but left her a difficult putt. The birdie was not to be. Betsy King had her 2nd consecutive U.S. Women's Open title.
Not much breeze, but what there is of it, it's into her face. She's 177 yards, and she has a 3-iron right in the middle of the fairway.
Interesting to hear Amy Alcott say, what a great game. Right in the middle of contesting for the U.S. Women's Open. She's having fun.
Meg's ball's moving left. It should catch the green and be good.
Safely on and pin high. By the way, Laurel Keene, who we saw come out of the bunker there at 15, bogeyed that hole and is now at +3 and 1 under on her round today. And as we look at Meg Mallon now for birdie at 15.
A very, very makeable putt, pretty much straight, about 20 feet.
And Meg Mallon makes yet another birdie. Birdies at 11, 14, and 15 on the backside, and she has moved out to a 2-shot lead now over Pat Bradley with this par putt at 13. So Mallon leads Bradley and Alcott by 2 shots here in the final round of this United States Women's Open.
Meg Mallon to 30.
As we go to Meg Mallon now with this putt for par at 16. That's why it's a hole. Sometimes you have to use all of them. She did use the majority of the left side, and so Meg Mallon remains 1 shot ahead of Amy Alcott, 4 under on her round today. That's the way you want to be able to finish a round of golf if you don't make the putt, just to be able to go up and just give it a little bit of a tap. He's asking Dottie Mockner if she's getting in the line. There it is. 4 under par, 67, and a 2-shot lead right now for Meg Mallon, looking to win her second major championship of 1991. Pat Bradley now with her second shot. Judy, she got a chance?
She's going to have to run the ball very low under the big tree to the left side. She's in the rough, has a good lie. In fact, the good lie may not benefit her here. Probably about a 4-iron. She has 145 to get to the front edge of the green with the ball running.
Well, we have a winner. Congratulations, Meg.
That was a great golf shot Pat just hit right there.
Baby. You know.
Makes this, and the 2 will go to an 18-hole playoff tomorrow at 11 Eastern time. Patty Sheehan has captured her first United States Women's Open Golf Championship. And a hug with her dear friend, Julie Inkster.
A violent overnight storm gave new meaning to the name Crooked Stick, delaying the final round by an hour. Third-round leader Helen Alfredson was beginning to feel the pressure of a major championship. She had a bogey on the second. dropped to 8 under, then found herself with this testy putt for par at the 8th. And that miss would drop her another stroke to 7 under. Meanwhile, 33-year-old Delaware resident Lori Merton was putting together a string of birdies that began with this monster putt at the 8th hole. What a putt. This was her third shot on the par 5 9th. And that would lead to another birdie. On to the 10th, and a chance for a third consecutive birdie. And just that suddenly, she stood 7 under par and in the hunt. After 2 birdies and a bogey in the front 9, Pat Bradley stood at 7 under on the 13th tee. This one set up a birdie. That other ball belongs to her fellow competitor, Donna Andrews. Here's Donna. A birdie for her, and she, too, stood at 8 under. At 14, though, she had this short putt for a par. A disappointed Andrews dropped to 7 under. A bogey at 11 had dropped Merton to 6 under. At the par 4 16th, she had this 5-iron second shot. Well, not exactly what she wanted.
That's okay. They're showing down to the bottom.
She took a 9-iron for this delicate chip.
It was a very difficult chip. That's a once-in-a-lifetime chip that went in. And I never was expecting to make it. It must have been my week. That's all I can say.
And back to 7 under she went. And back at the 15th, Helen Alfredson, also at 7 under, had this putt for a birdie. Yes. Now trailing Alfredson by 1, Merton had this 6-iron second shot on the par 4 18th. Struck like a champion. Meanwhile, back at 16, Alfredson was shaking. Nope. But Merton had this for a birdie on her 72nd hole and finished at 8 under. Suddenly, Alfredson, angry at herself, needed this putt to stay in a tie for the lead. Nope. Donna Andrews had an opportunity to force a playoff with a birdie on 18. She'd have to make this putt. Good try, but not good enough. Now the only remaining challenger was Alfredson. This her second shot at 18. Beautiful shot. A birdie here would force a Monday 18-hole playoff. But she had to make this. Oh. So watching from the TV booth, Lori Merton was the new U.S. Women's Open champion.
The 4th round was about to begin in this, the most important women's golf championship in the world. A championship Patty Sheehan knows how to win. 2 years ago, she won in a playoff against Julie Inkster at Oakmont. At the first tee, Tammy Green continued to swing smoothly and with great tempo. Now Patty Sheehan in her attempt for her second championship in 3 years.
I really didn't feel that I was in the lead. I felt that I was, one of a big pack. And so I didn't feel the pressure of leading the Open.
With just 3 holes remaining, Tammy Green, the co-leader, caught the fairway bunker to the right of the 16th fairway. One foot out, 1 foot in. It was a difficult shot, and she left her ball in the rough. Patty Sheehan saw an opening, but she was in deep rough.
Stay straight. Stay straight. Feet down. Feet down. Down.
What a wonderful golf shot. This was a big turning point. Then Patty with a birdie putt to take the lead. She had done it. Now the leader, Patty Sheehan, had to get in. From the rough, she hit to this huge 18th green.
Carry there. Now go. Go.
Safely on. Tammy Green, just one stroke behind, hit a clutch shot to the home green. It was a beauty, and Tammy had a chance to tie. For Tammy Green, this putt would tie it up.
I never really gave up that thought all day that it was my championship and it was mine to win. And when I had the putt on the last hole, it was still mine to win, and it was my show to make that putt, and that's what I tried to do.
Now Patty Sheehan had to make a nerve-wracking three-footer to win. And she did it. Coming from behind, Patty Sheehan won the U.S. Women's Open Championship for the second time in 3 years.
At the sixth, Mallon regained the lead, reclaiming one of her lost shots. Going for the green and two on the par 5 ninth, the two-time All-America at the University of Arizona, Sorenstam, would make birdie and join Mallon at 2 under. Each time Mallon earned a share of the lead, she would let it slip away. Sorenstam, seemingly oblivious to the pressure, made her third straight birdie at the 11th and now had a 2-shot lead. But Sorenstam's charge stalled as well. Sideswiped by the Broadmoor's tricky greens. Her vulnerability now exposed. Final hole, Sorenstam clutching a 1-shot lead. Now she would wait for Mallon to finish. Mallon needed a birdie on 18 to force a playoff. She had parred this hole 3 times before.
Come on. Go. Keep going. Keep going. Good job, man. That way. Good.
One putt for a playoff. Annika Sorenstam, in only her second year on the LPGA Tour, had captured the game's most precious prize.
Annika Sorenstam played near flawless golf. This precision iron shot on the par 4 ninth set up a birdie 3. And then the 25-year-old Swede capped it in style on 18. A birdie for a stellar 3-under second round 67 and a second round 3-shot lead, and she would increase it on the front 9 during yesterday's 3rd round. This birdie on the par 4 6th added to a lead that would swell to 5. But the heart of the champion would take over down the stretch on the toughest hole of the championship, the par 4 17th, a long, rare birdie. And with hopes of becoming the first back-to-back winner in 6 years, Sorenstam rebuilt the lead back to 3, entering the final round. And she would begin to build on it again in the final round. This at the par 3 3rd after 2 pars to open up her final round. The tee shot, 130 yards, put Sorenstam within birdie range. And she would roll it in, convert it to go to 5 under for the championship. Back to 8. Second shot for the leader.
From 130 yards, just a little bit right of the hole, wants to hook.
The lead is 5 for Annika Sorenstam. She's held the lead since making the turn in the second round on Friday.
Got it going at the hole if it gets up. Oh, took a big bounce. Oh.
Was a beauty.
Just to go 8 under. Boy, she's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
This a moment ago. Not too many people get to make this walk at age 24. Made it for the first time last year. Didn't know she was at the Open champion. Now at age 25. You have to figure she knows it now. That for a 66. Back-to-back championships for Annika Sorenstam.
8 under par, 272, a record that might not be broken by too many people in a long time.
Shatters the record by 5 shots.
Something extraordinary was already happening at Pumpkin Ridge. Rounds of 70, 66, and 67 gave Nicklaus a 54-hole open record. But on Sunday, she faced a Hall of Famer.
I knew that it was a big day, and I was playing against Nancy, and she had a huge following. So I was very, very nervous, but after the first tee shot, I calmed down a little bit, and I had to just get on and play.
Nicklaus' 3-stroke lead began to evaporate quickly as Lopez birdied 2 of the first 3 holes. And now it was developing into a shootout, but Nicklaus was playing too well to be bothered by nerves. Oh my! The 5-foot-tall native of Gibraltar was a rock of consistency until the 14th hole.
I was swinging it well, and I was in between clubs, and I decided to go for the bigger wedge and try and just hit a nice shot, and unfortunately it airmailed the green. That was a sort of scary moment. I dropped 2 shots, but I was still 1 shot ahead going into the last few holes, so I had to just remember that and just to keep playing and not to get flustered at all. Just try and hang in there, really.
Lopez had pulled within 1, the gallery's enthusiasm echoing through the fairways.
I knew it was there, and I could feel it, and it was really cool, as my kids would say. But yet it was almost like a blur, because the whole time you're playing, you know it's there, but you don't really see it.
So focused within a shot of Nicklaus, but at the 15th, a tricky par putt.
I needed to make par there because the pressure would have really, I think, maybe gotten to her a little bit more. And, you know, bogeying it kind of, you know, she was able to take a breath and say, oh, You know, I'm okay, but I never thought I didn't have a chance. So I was pretty pumped up at that time because I was a little angry because I bogeyed 15. And then the shot that I had into 16 was a good little shot there.
Boy, that is a great golf shot.
That is a great shot, John.
That is the best shot she's hit in the championship, no doubt about it. Right there.
I kept saying to myself, okay, you know, you still have a lot of work to do. Don't let whatever inner emotions you're feeling right now come out.
Lopez maintained her composure to make birdie at 16. Now the par 5 18th. Nicklaus held a one-shot lead. Each knew of the reward which awaited the player who could survive the pressures of the final hole of the U.S. Open.
And now, listen to the crowd. Never heard anything like it in women's golf. Never been a more exciting moment in history.
Both second shots safe. Allison Nicklaus first to play.
Looks pretty good, Roger. It should
She's got this well right of the hole, John.
It's a good shot, though, right where you think you should hit it, especially with a one-shot lead.
I could feel everybody pulling for me. I could just feel it in the air. I have to birdie this hole. I've got to hit this shot close. I got up to the shot. I felt real good over it, and you know, just landed a little too long.
Turned over on her. Took one hop and jumped right over, John.
We've seen a lot of people make that putt she has. It's fast, but it's very makeable.
It's like hanging on to you're on the edge of a cliff and you're hanging on by your fingertips. And you're still hanging on after I hit the chip shot. And then I'm still hanging on, I'm still hanging on. Now she putts and I'm still hanging on, and I get up to the putt and everything is just right on the edge. You're just holding on as long as you can.
For Nicklaus, a U.S. Women's Open scoring record, 10 under, and treasured memories of a bittersweet day.
Best I've ever seen right there.
The championship leader, Sari Pak, however, was in trouble on the 17th. Too strong, leaving her about 10 feet for par. This was to keep her two-stroke lead. Still, she had a one-shot cushion with one to go. Thunderous applause welcomed the remarkable 20-year-old Jenny Shasiraporn to the 18th green. She was faced with this nearly impossible 45-foot birdie putt for a share of the lead.
Good looking putt, Jenny! You gotta be kidding me!
Welcome to the playoff, the 18-hole playoff of the 53rd U.S. Women's Open Championship conducted by the United States Golf Association. The players are Jenny Shasiraporn of Timonium, Maryland, and Sari Pak of Daejeon, Korea. Play away, please.
Jenny Shasiraporn drew ahead first, rolling in this chip for birdie. A surefire way to break the tension. On the 12th, and a second consecutive birdie to pull even. It was now all tied, just how the two started walking to the first tee. They were still tied coming to the par 4 finishing hole. This was where Pak's drive landed, and without socks and shoes, but with plenty of courage, she hit the ball out. Now from 148 yards out of the rough, but with a good angle into the green. A marvelous golf shot, landing 18 feet below the hole and giving her a real chance at saving par. But she came up well short, and father and daughter agonized together. Again, Jenny Siriporn had a chance to win with this 12-foot par putt. And it was on to the first sudden death playoff in the U.S. Women's Open history. Both made par on the 10th hole, and it was on to the 92nd hole, a 20-footer for birdie. It never moved. Now all she could do was stand aside and watch. Sari Pak from 18 feet for birdie and the championship. Dead center. And finally, Sari Pak allowed herself to smile, getting a big hug from her exuberant father. The longest U.S. Women's Open in history was over and won by the youngest champion ever. Tears of joy flowed as Sari Pak became the first to win consecutive majors since Meg Mallon in 1991.
How's it look?
A little bit right of the hole, John. Looks like it needs to get up underneath the hole.
Good leave. Course is playing a little tougher today. 74.2. It's been averaging in the around mid 73s. So the hole location is a little tougher. Plus the open pressure is mounting and adding to the scoring.
Center cut all the way.
So the lead is indeed back up to 4 for Inkster, just like she began the day.
Makes it look easy, Roger.
When you do that, they're all easy, John. This is a 9-iron. Good looking shot. Beautiful.
Julie Inkster at age 38, answering every threat so far. The lead is 4. Can Inkster finally win an Open?
I think she hit a bad putt there, Roger. Went in the left center.
16 under par for Inkster, and the lead has increased to 5 with 5 left.
The shot starts right of the hole, turning right at it.
Some of the best iron play I've ever seen by any performer in the last 20 years.
You saw husband Brian. He first met Julie at the age of 15, gave her her first lesson. She really didn't take up the game seriously until she was 15 years old.
Bringing home a trophy. I'm just bringing home a trophy. Real big one, too, Corey.
Drano.
Almost a birdie. And she wanted to do that dance that we saw earlier in this championship, Johnny.
If they yell loud enough, they might knock it in.
In her 20th U.S. Open, Julie Inkster is finally an Open champion.